Well guys, welcome. I wanted to try something a little bit different today. I homeschool my daughter, and so therefore field trips are something that I do for not only our fun, family fun, but also for her benefit. And I thought today that I'd bring you guys along on a little field trip that I came up with. We did a word search that had some Michigan lighthouses in it, and one that isn't that far away wasn't, you can't see it on Google Images when you drop the little yellow guy down. And I wanted to show her it, but also I thought it'd be kind of a fun adventure to get out of the house and whatever. For the last 2 days, it's been pouring down rain. Then today it decided to drop back down to like 12 degrees. So it just isn't a very good time to do almost anything else. And I've been doing a lot of computer work, and I'm just looking forward to getting out of the house. I thought I'd bring you guys along with me and challenge myself to make a little bit different format of a video. And in this case, we're going to go check out a lighthouse called McGulpin Pointe, just west of Mackinaw City. So stay tuned and we'll see if we can make it interesting. I have made several different Michigan travel related videos in the past, and they're all found in my Michigan landmarks folder or playlist on my YouTube channel. I have not really noticed a terribly huge amount of interest in those videos. Now, obviously, the earliest ones represent the beginning of my YouTube career, and obviously leave some to be desired, but that's okay, because in order to get somewhere, you got to start somewhere. I wanted to make this a little bit of a crossover video. And by the way, this is the Indian River, which is really cool and a really cool place to take a boat, a pontoon boat or a lower draft boat. You can take it all the way up into Lake Michigan, up to Sheboygan from Mullet Lake and Burt Lake. That is an awesome trip. My dad and I did that when I was younger on a little Boston whaler. Super duper fun trip. So that kind of leads me into Michigan has just an absolutely rich assortment of beautiful places to go, landmarks, historical sites, some battlefields, some really great things can be found in Michigan. And I highly recommend, if you haven't explored what recreational options are available for Michigan residents, and obviously also for everyone traveling to Michigan. There's lots to see in Michigan, and that's why I try and make these videos to spread how amazing Michigan is. So I'm making a little bit of a crossover video here to try and drum up some more interest in those travel videos using my 2023 7.3 Super Duty, and this is how I'm going to cross it over. If anyone is looking at a Super Duty and they're trying to convince their wives that, you know, there's a good reason for me to buy this, well, I can tell you that not only is it going to do the work that you need to do and haul the things that you need to haul, but it works absolutely phenomenal to go and do family vacations and trips. If you get a four-door, a full four-door as opposed to a super cab, there is tons of room. It's like having a limousine in the back seat. You could easily put 3 car seats in the back, and you'd even have room to put some dogs on the floor. If you had 3 kids and some dogs, you could definitely put a dog on your lap at the front. You could bring a whole house full of dogs, a whole house full of kids, and you could do it in relative comfort and for sure, at minimum, safety. So there's your little crossover from the 7.3 liter gas, which seems to get a lot of attention on my channel, to some travel videos that maybe haven't gotten the attention. So we'll see if we can keep growing those, and I won't stop making them because I enjoy it, and I like sharing what amazing things that Michigan has to offer. So without any more delay, we will be going to see the lighthouse. Well, after just a small drive outside of Mackinaw City there, only a couple miles, I think it says 3 miles west of Mackinaw City. Didn't take but just a couple minutes. And this is on the west side of the Mackinaw Bridge, so you know. I have not spent a lot of time over here, which is exactly why I was so interested in coming to check it out. I just haven't seen very much of this little neck of the woods here. And moreover, from the Google Maps that we are enjoying looking up, what lighthouses were looking like, just didn't really give me a lot of confidence that I was really seeing what there was potential to see. And being that there was just a sign saying that we go here, it looks like we're in the right place. And they even have a nice McGulpin Pointe. I hope I'm pronouncing that. McGulpin. I think it's Gulpin. G-U. Gulpin Pointe here. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, look at here. We got some navigational aids. Red right returning. That's important. Oh, look at this. It's all plowed. We got a red buoy here. All right. Uh-oh. The better half was sleeping. Let's go check this place out. much like a lot of the other historical sites in Michigan, they do a really good job with these big old data tables. In this case, has an awesome map that actually gives you the location of some nearby shipwrecks and also the different lighthouses in the Mackinaw Strait area. Here in a second, there's going to be a picture that shows the dates of construction, the dates of sinking, and the names of the ships. If you want to take a picture of that, that's coming right up here in a second with your telephone, and hold on to it, then you can look at these pictures here that show the location of the sinkings, and then you can see which one, depends on how nerdy you want to get. Me being that nerd, that is what I would do. But if you want to do that, go ahead. Here's that exhibit if you want to pause and take a picture, and then that way you can pause as you're going through these two right here, and you can see where the ships are relative to the Mackinac Bridge. So being that I'm a nerd and also I like maps, I'm a sailor. I do a lot of racing, and one of the things that I've been doing since I've been a little kid, I raced my first Mackinac race, which is one of the longer freshwater sailing races in the world, and it runs the one that I've done most of, Port Huron to Mackinaw, which of course Mackinac Island is right here on the map, and this is obviously a snapshot of the map. I've done 3 Chicago Mackinaws, which is running from Chicago up to Mackinaw too, and when you're going that way, you're trucking across through here, and this stretch takes forever. And you sail underneath the bridge, which is so cool, especially if it's at night and all the cars passing above with the lights and stuff. Super duper cool. Obviously, in the daytime, you get to see more. And then we're finishing like this. So normally, our Port Huron Mackinac, we're missing these shallows right here. You can cut this fairly close. And, we're coming up here, and depending on the direction of the wind, sometimes we're sailing over here to tack back over here and then finish, or maybe we're running along here and you get into the shallows and miss, some craziness and do what we call rock hopping down here, and you go whoop right up over here. So as somebody who spends a lot of time in the water, seeing where all these wrecks are, you can obviously see where the shipping channel is. Look at all the wrecks in the area that common shipping is going on. It's just really, really cool. So hopefully you enjoy this a little bit. There's just so much to enjoy, and I've made a video, I think I made a video, on Whitefish Point Shipwreck Museum. It's one of my favorite places in Michigan to go, and now that I'm thinking about it, did I make a video on I'm going to have to. If I haven't, we'll just go back this year. I go every single year, multiple times a year, so it doesn't matter. But lots of different ships, as I took a picture of and you have seen. Different years built, lost, cause. This is, I just think this is so interesting. When you think about the people that have either lost their lives or having their lives heavily impaired. The Cedarville, obviously, that's a pretty famous boat right there. I feel like there's a story to that one, too. Up here. So this is St. Ignace. This is the bottom of the Upper Peninsula. And then, obviously, Mackinaw City here, the top of the Lower Peninsula. So just so you know a little bit where we are. I got lucky in these high winds and was able to capture the American flag sticking out straight, and it looks amazing there over top of the lighthouse. This lighthouse is really striking, and it's much more impressive in person than the online picture showed. The brickwork is really nice. The shape of it is very eye-appealing. The red that they've restored on it looks really amazing. Outside, there's these placards that show some details on these ships. If you want to pause it and zoom in, you should be able to read them with no problem. Also, as I mentioned here in a second, there's a trail network that goes down. There's actually a sign, and we'll talk about that in just a second. In better weather, you can go for a 0.3-mile walk and see some additional information along a trail route through the woods, so a good way to stretch your legs. So the architecture of this building is super duper cool. I don't know how original the red accents are, but they look so cool. It says 1868 on the side of the building. Look at the way they just built the structure. That you could easily make a big square building, but then you go ahead and make something that actually looks downright beautiful. What a cool place. So there's actually kind of a nature walk through here, and obviously there's snow on the ground, so it's not plowed, but there's more to see down here, and I'm sure that they're discussing perhaps could easily be an access to go out for lifeboats. I don't actually go. Maybe we'll go down there depending on how treacherous this hill is, but this is definitely a wicked cool place in the summertime. Definitely going to be worth your time. So, some information on this that I didn't know. The gentleman who designed the Tacoma Narrows Bridge that famously twisted apart in high winds was originally considered to design the Mackinaw Bridge. And thankfully, because of a post-war delay of being able to build it, that event already took place, and the Mackinaw Bridge didn't accidentally get built by that guy. So we didn't have to deal with that. What I'm taking a picture here is the eaves on this building are just a really nice, very nicely done. In person, it is pretty spectacular and very ornate. It just is a really beautiful lighthouse, and we got so lucky. That is an unedited picture. I don't even know how to lighten up and make a picture look better. It is just an unbelievably beautiful lighthouse, and we had a chance to look at it on just a gorgeous day of blue skies, and yeah, it was cold and a little bit windy, but just amazing sky above our heads. So past the lighthouse and down the hill a little bit, just be careful. There's a huge parking lot, plenty of room to hang out. It does say no camping and no overnight fire, or no fires and no overnight camping, but tons of room. You could definitely bring even a big fifth wheel down here and turn around, or a camper or a boat or whatever. Park down here, walk back up the hill, do what you gotta do. The view here, and I don't know how the swimming is here. Oh my. Now that's what I'm talking about. So we got Mackinaw in the background there, Round Island's over there, and then Bois Blanc is going to be further over that way. St. Ignace is right there. What a view. I cannot wait to come back here in the summertime. I'm going to watch my step because this is all ice and you would totally eat it, and I don't want to do that. But this is a pretty darn cool place. So, highly recommend you guys come and check this out, especially when it's not frozen, but at the same time, look at the artwork of the ice on the ground. We're going to try and get a little bit closer to a couple of them. But this is definitely beach that goes out, a fair distance here. Don't know what the swimming would be like. I would think that the rock hunting would be freaking phenomenal. I don't know about beach glass here. You're going to have to check that out if that's what you're interested in. Look at the Mighty Mac standing resolute in the background. She is a beautiful bridge. Guys, I just want to conclude this video. First of all, thank you for watching. And I wanted to finish this with a little bit more 7.3 content just to keep it good and hybrid, relevant here. That trip, I got in fuel somewhat on the way. And first drove west and then north up 75, and then got to Mackinaw and then squirreled around for a bit. I was at like 12.2, 12.4. I mean, today it was, well, right now it's 28. It was like 25, 27 when I was heading out, and I was driving into headwind most of the way. And I was doing like 65, 66, and then once I stopped making the YouTube video, I kicked it up. So I keep bumping it with my hand here. I kicked it up to like 70, 72. So in the cold, empty, at 65, 66, 70, 12.4, 12.5 is pretty reasonable. I was just at 13.2, and then I just hooked up a trailer, and of course you lose some fuel economy when you're idling, hooking up a trailer and moving a trailer and getting it loaded for this weekend and stuff. So that I just wanted to give a little bit of a an update on that. Obviously in the summertime it gets a lot better fuel economy. That same trip I probably would have been mid 14s, but when it's this cold, you're in the 12s. And obviously we were talking about, selling this as a perfectly reasonable truck to go do family outings in. I challenge you to buy another vehicle and make it pay for itself after you pay for road taxes and obviously paying for it and putting fuel in it and insurance and all that stuff. Buy the fuel savings just of having another small vehicle. So that's kind of the thing is like, yeah, another vehicle would save fuel money, and maybe this thing being a 7.3 liter gas isn't the best on fuel. It's pretty darn good for a gas heavy duty truck, especially at 65, 70. That's pretty reasonable in really cold wind, and we were pushing a headwind. And honestly, on the way home, this is one of those uphill, downhill, both ways kind of deals. But seriously, I was pushing wind, literally going east, and just earlier that day, I was pushing wind, going hard wind, going west and going north. It was a hard, like a west-northwest wind. So it was relevant all the way up to Mackinaw. And it was hilariously relevant both on the way home and also heading east. So take that for what you will, but pretty good fuel economy in a heavy-duty truck. And those of you who haven't had one yet, yes, your half tons are going to get like our Expedition with the 3.5 EcoBoost in the same conditions. Is probably getting, it's cold outside. Your boosted engine's even worse in the cold for fuel economy. It runs great, boost weather, but it's fuel burning weather. High 18s, you know. So and that's a 373 Expedition. So high 18s with an Expedition and a 3.5. I'd assume an F-150 is in a similar place if it has 373 gears, whatever. This truck is 373 gears, and it's very, very reasonable for the situation. I mean, my Power Wagon struggled to get, would be probably getting about 11 in that situation, 11.2. My Excursion, before I did any modifications to it, that 10, 11 mark. 6.0 Chevy is probably in that 10, 11 mark. You might be able to get maybe high 11s into 12s if you weren't going 65, 70. A gas truck going 65, 70 is a bad deal. Let me tell you one other thing. I lost 0.3 of a mile a gallon when I went from going 66, 65 filming the video to kicking it up to 70, 72. 0.3 of a mile a gallon. If you want to get some better fuel economy, just slow down a little bit. I wanted to get there because we started a little bit later in the day. My better half had an appointment, so we didn't leave right away, and we did morning schoolwork and then got going on. Well, we came up with the idea. It was entirely planned that day at 11 o'clock, and we were there by 1:30. So, and we had lunch, and it was a later start to the day. So I was in a rush to get there. On the way home, we took it a little bit more gingerly. That's why we were up at 13.2, and just hooking up the snowmobile trailer. I'm back down at 12.8, which is fine. It's part of the job. I burn 87 in this. There's no reason to burn anything more. If you wanted to ensure that there's no chance that a bad load of 87 is costing you performance, you could run 93, but assuming the 87 is up to the spec that it's supposed to be, you're not going to lose any power running the 87. So the 93 is entirely pointless. It doesn't burn any cleaner. It doesn't do anything for you other than knock prevention. And actually, a gallon of 93 has less energy in it than a gallon of 87. So you're better off with 87 if you can run it. And this is not a high performance engine. It is a good performing engine, but it is not a high performance engine. At 430 horsepower with 445 cubic inches, we're not at premium level of performance. If you were to up the compression a bunch, throw boost at it, it is ideally suited. I believe they're 10.5. I think these are 10.5 to 1 engines. Might be 10.0, whatever the heck they are. Actually, I don't even remember what the heck they are. 10, 11, or 10.5, 10, something like that. That is ideally suited for 87, especially when you have a little bit wider of a load separation angle in regards to the cam. A little bit narrower load separation angle to drop the cylinder pressure just a smidgen so that you can get away with having a little bit higher compression. Whereas, like, if you looked at a camshaft for an LQ4, it is a really small cam. So that 9 to 1 in an LQ4 is actually a fairly snotty motor because the camshaft isn't very big. So the cylinder, or the chamber, has a lot of pressure in it, even though it doesn't have a really high compression ratio. You could have less dynamic compression with a 12 or 13 to 1 motor than a 9 to 1 motor, simply with camshaft selection and how you're lining up that load separation angle and the cam timing and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot to cams. There's a whole different world to camshaft. So, oh God, I'm off in, 5-6 minutes. All right, I'm going to stop. I'm sorry, guys. You know me, I like to talk. Take care, all. I appreciate all of you. I just love that you've been here to grow the channel. If you'd like to watch some of the Michigan Landmarks videos in that playlist, I would truly appreciate it, because I like to see if you like them and if you'd like to see more of them, if you'd like to see me take the 7.3 on more trips, if you'd like to see the 7.3 more ideally, or this truck more ideally suited for going on road trips, i.e. Toverlander / economical overlanding truck. How about that? So maybe not something on 40s, but something ideally suited for maximum realistic off-road capability, but at the same time, good bit of camping and flexibility on road and off-road. So let me know if you're interested in something like that, because that is definitely a direction that the modifying of this specific truck could go. I was just told that my F450 allocation is likely going to pull in April, so they will probably start building my truck somewhere around mid-April. I ordered in 2023, for those of you who don't know, I ordered in 2023 an XL F450 carpet delete, 6-seat, 4-wheel drive, 67HO in race red. It'll be all black trim, black door handles, black basic truck, basic grill, nothing crazy about it. A really good work truck. And because I want to have a dedicated tow rig that is only tow rig, I'd like to put a transfer tank in it. And what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to run a transfer flow 70-gallon transfer tank that also runs, or it has a pump, so I can put diesel into tractors and mini and whatever. So I'd like to have a full-blown work truck, and this truck has been kind of filling that position right now. It is really good at doing work truck duty, but I kind of had this thing in mind as I wanted to experiment with the 7.3, and now that I have it, I freaking adore it. So if you guys would like to see a little bit more hardcore version of this, once I don't have to rely on this as being the unmodified, unmolested daily driver work truck, once we go in that direction, we can commit to it, and this would not be a bad truck to do it with. It's a good truck. I like it, and I don't want to necessarily get rid of it for something else. I tossed around the idea of ordering a Tremor with 7.3 because you guys really like 7.3 content, but I'm kind of thinking we should modify this truck just because this is the truck that kind of boosted the channel up to where it is, and I've enjoyed having it a lot. So I think that the couple things that we would change anyway on a Tremor, the biggest thing is we need to figure out a way to have a winch in this truck, and I really want to run the hidden winch. I just love a hidden winch in regards to this. If I want a hardcore off-roader, I want that winch out in front, easy to get to, so when you sink it, you can get to that winch. In a truck like this, where maybe you might pull winch cable just to help someone, or maybe just boost yourself because you did something really stupid, you just need to get yourself back onto the road, that's kind of what this kind of truck is trying to do. If you're wheeling in extremely harsh environments, I want that winch out in front, up top, easy to see, easy to get to from the top, because you may not be able to get to it from the front. But that is not necessarily what a overlander needs to have happen. So I kind of like to think about what we can do. And I think that this truck would be also a wonderful truck to compare when we work on some older trucks to get those older powertrains and drive lines and suspension systems to work as well as the new truck. This is a really good control to compare it to, being that it's in my opinion, as heavy duty of a gasser as you're going to get besides buying a chassis cab. Obviously you could get a dually, and that would be obviously one step up, but then it becomes so inefficient and terrible at a lot of things. A 350 with this amount of payload and towing capacity with a gas engine kind of represents a really capable, well-rounded, flexible work truck. So let me know kind of what you think about all that. And that's kind of where I kind of envision the channel going to, is continued 7.3 content, continued outdoor content, continued travel content for sure. Definitely some more fabrication. I have tons of ground and land work to do, so we'll be filming all of that using this truck. And if the 450 comes and I choose to get it, to move aggregate and steel and drainage tubes, and move tractors to do food plots. And there's just so much that needs to be done. I've just backlogged of work that I need to get done. And this truck is so far just wonderful at getting me to where I am now. And I ordered the 450 with that in mind, of having a really dedicated, I don't want 70 gallons of extra fuel in this truck, and it's a gas truck. Why do I want to carry around 70 gallons of diesel? That's stupid. If you needed to get somewhere and you're out of gas and you needed fuel, but you're carrying 70 gallons of diesel, that's just dumb. You should just have you should have the same transfer tank. A diesel truck should have a diesel transfer tank, and as far as I'm concerned, because then it extends the range of the truck you're driving. So if you're going to have a gas transfer tank, don't put it in a diesel truck, because that's also just as stupid. So that's kind of along the lines of my thinking. Let me know if you like that. This is obviously at the back of the video. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the front part, which is really what it was all about, but I wanted to bring it back into conversation about the 7.3. So if you stuck around for that, let me know down below. Comment down below. Let me know what you want to see. If you have any interest in seeing this truck evolve into perhaps a little bit more capable and less towing only focused, let me know if you guys are interested in that. Let me know if you want to see any camper towing with this truck. I have buddies who own campers. I don't own a camper that's roadworthy. I have an old camper, and we're not going to talk about that piece of junk. Let me know what you want to see out of this truck. I love doing the testing. I love doing the comparisons, and I would really like to do some older... God, we're at 12 minutes now. I promise I'm wrapping this up. I really would like to use this truck as a standard to compare older gas trucks, what we can do with tuning, with driveline modification, and with tasteful suspension, wheel, and tire combinations that make older gas trucks perform like the newer gas trucks at a fraction of the cost. I think this is a really good standard to test those trucks against, because this is where they should be shooting. A 7.3 gas engine is what I want to see if we can make a V10 perform as well as this with some modifications. I have some stuff in mind. It's going to require tuning. It's going to require head work. It's going to require intake manifold work. And it's going to require headers. And it's going to require really good tuning. But I think I got some plans. I got some ideas. 6.0 gas content would be really cool. I'd really like to get back to tinkering with 454 Vortec. I feel like that was left as a cliffhanger. To make a long story short, my buddy had a really interesting truck that we tuned, and it just came alive. It just really, really ripped hard. And he had a bad habit of love racing people. And our conclusion is the end story is that all the guts of the motor ended up on the ground. I mean, 3 wrist pins and most of the pistons ended up on the cement. Like, it came apart in spectacular fashion. Upon taking it apart, it ran out of oil. And he didn't take it apart fully because I think he was just pissed about it. I would have liked to seen if the oil pump failed, if the drive shaft failed, if the cam gear failed for the oil pump drive. The other idea that we had was that we pumped, because it's only got a 6-quart oil pan in the pickup truck. What we're thinking is, because he was racing a car at the time and he had been holding it wide open for a really long time, that he pumped all the oil from the oil pan up into the heads and then hadn't drained back efficiently yet, and it starved the motor of oil. Whatever it is, the motor died of oil starvation. It was very clear on all the wrist pins were burned. The sides of the pistons were burned. The crank was burned. Everything we saw, the lifters, we took the rockers off, pulled the push rods. Everything was scored from oil loss and really a lot of heat. The engine, it lived as long as it could live, and then it died catastrophic. So I think that I would like to revisit the 454 Vortec, because I think there's potential there, and I think that should be a suburban 454 Vortec, 4-wheel drive, of course. I'd like to revisit. I've done a lot of 6.0 tuning, and we've had a lot of fun with 6.0s. I'd really like to revisit 2500 HTs, GMT 800s. My buddy built a 350 Vortec, and it never had, because we were too young, we didn't know any better. I mean, this is 15, 17 years ago. He had this truck in high school. He put together a really nice motor with a vet crank, vet cam, and I think they put bigger valves in the heads. They did some good trickery with the Vortec motor, and it was never running right because it was never tuned right. It was never tuned at all, and we just didn't know any better, and there's potential there. I think we need to investigate the 350 Vortec too and see what more, now that we're adults and we know better. We know we should have had a better engine management solution for that truck. It was a 96, so you couldn't tune it. So there's things that we've learned in our lives that we've made mistakes on that I'd really like to reinvestigate, because I think we were getting somewhere. Like my V10 with the modifications I've done with it is a freaking animal. It's a really great truck. No, it's not the standard, but I think this is a good standard to hold it accountable to, just as working with a 6.0. I'd like to tinker with an 8.1. I'd like to tinker with the 454 Vortec again, and perhaps look at welding a oil pan with kickouts, little wings on the side to give us an extra couple of quarts. I think if we get up to 8 quarts or 9 quarts, like a boat has. A boat should have 9 quarts. A 454 Magnum marine engine should have a 9-quart oil pan, if I'm not mistaken. That was done to prevent oil starvation at high RPMs. So there's just so much we could do with the channel. And now that we're doing it, or now that I guess I'm really seeing that people are really interested in watching, let me know what you're interested in. Then any of this, tickle your fancy of, whoa, I'd really like to see that, because we'll do it, and we'll do it right. I mean, I have a contact with someone who lives a long way away, but he has a dynamometer, a chassis dynamometer we could run. There's always a chance I could find someone more locally to run vehicles, a chassis dynamometer. We could really see what we could do. I have, believe it or not, priced out what it would cost to get an engine dyno, because it's something that I've always wanted to do. Now, it's a little bit out of reach, but I've talked to the sales guy. I know exactly what we need to do, and there's some potential that someday down the road, engine dynamometer, definitely. Access to a chassis dynamometer would be amazing, especially to compare tuning. And so this has gone on too long. Let me know down below what you're interested in. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.